Mike, turn your games down.
Games Mod. I am Mike Albertin, and who's some aliens with me?
This is Michael Colby from Jack Billings Presents, and we're about to fight.
Cast, a work in progress. And I'm still nauseous from stage 5 in Contra 3.
And I'm Kyle, and I am wearing red pants tonight.
I have blue pants on right now.
I almost did that one.
That's
and I was
great.
like,
I forgot
somebody
that.
might. Yes.
But 2 games, Mitch, on this episode. We are going to talk about Contra 3, the Alien Wars, developed by Konami and published by 1992, and apparently the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, I found out literally 5 minutes before this recording. And Contra Hard Corps, that developed by Konami, published by Konami, came out in 94 and was for the Genesis. And we're going to start with Contra 3 because I want to start the game that I like.
All right.
So, start these off with our memories. I played this game and we had Game Genie code, so I could just punch in my codes and never die. And we played it all the time. So I love this game. I have thick Coke Stouts color glasses on for this game. I see no issues with it. So I just need to state that right there first. Colby, what is your history with this game?
I didn't have a Super Nintendo until I was in my 30s.
Oh.
So I played this game when I was a full-grown adult, and I have the opposite of rose-colored glasses for this game. I fucking hate this game. The Mode 7 shit makes me nauseous every time. It's the reason why Castlevania 4 is my least favorite Castlevania game. I dislike the Super Nintendo pretty much as a console.
Damn. All right, those are fighting words.
I enjoy one game on the Super Nintendo, but other than that, yeah, this game is miserable for me. I hated every second of it.
Okay.
So stack then?
Yeah.
I very rarely box games in this, but I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, this is going in the box. And by box, I mean garbage can.
Wow. Damn.
This is going to be fun. And Zach.
I spent my hard-earned summer job money in, I don't know, 1995 maybe, on a Super Nintendo. And I don't remember if I rented this or bought it, but I had it and played it back then. And I remember that I eventually got through it, and playing through it again this time, I remembered lots of parts of the game. Overall, I do like it. I hate the overhead stages. I'm definitely with Michael Colby on that one. It just seemed like, here's a cool thing we can do, but they should not have actually done that in a game that they were selling. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was fun to revisit. I did have to use Game Genie codes to get through. I didn't find an invincibility code, though. Did you, Mike?
I did
infinite lives. That worked. Okay, that's fair, too. Anyways, that's pretty much it on my introductory notes.
Kyle.
Well, I had a Super Nintendo growing up as a kid in the 90s, but I actually didn't really get around to experiencing this game until I was about 12 years old. I was on a family vacation to Ontario, the province of Ontario in Canada, to meet I have already met them, but to hang out with some family on my dad's side for Christmas. And so I actually had a chance to rent this game years prior, but for some weird reason, my mom and my brother both were like, oh, the box art on this looks ugly. It's probably going to suck. You shouldn't get it. And I'm like, what? Because and that's the only time they ever fucking did that in my childhood. Like, they never, ever gave a shit about, my mom was like, it's not so much she'd let me do whatever I want, but or get whatever video game I wanted, but she would usually keep an eye on the stuff I get or at stuff I'd rent. But literally that's never been a thing before with either my mom or my oldest brother, where they would make a judgment call on that and say oh, you shouldn't get it. It'll probably suck. That was never a thing ever. So it's just good couple of years later, when I was 12 years old, and on Christmas vacation with my family, we were at we hit a couple of pawn shops because at that time period, myself and both my brothers liked going to pawn shops to get stuff because we'd be able to this was way back in the super early 2000s. So This is when
They were
pawn
good
shops
then.
were actually useful. Yeah, and you didn't have like the internet to price out on stuff, and you could actually find like pretty good deals. I'm sure you still can with certain like pawn shops, but it just depends, and it's a big treasure hunt, and I'm too old for that shit. Anyways, so I actually found this game for about like I found Contra 3 for about $9, and I was like, yeah, okay, fuck, or actually, I think it was even less. It was like super cheap, and I was like, okay, I love Konami, I love Contra. I played NES Contra before when I was a little younger, and I liked it, and I had fun with it. So okay, I'll get Contra 3, and then about 4 or 5 days later, we went back home. We took the plane, we got back home, and we left super early in Ontario, and we got back at about 11:30, 12 noon. So it was still, there was still plenty of time in the day. So I went home, went to my room, I put the game in the Super Nintendo, and I started playing, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is pretty cool. So yeah, I actually had a bit of a weird kind of experience with this game where like in my early childhood, I never really got a chance to play, but by the time I was about 12, I finally got to actually play it, and was like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, so yeah, my childhood experience with this is a little later in life, in a sense.
So for those that this game is essentially mostly just a run and gun shooter, I think that's the correct term.
Yeah, pretty much run and gunner.
Except for when it decided to be a top-down game for
Yeah,
2 levels.
You're still running and gunning.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just changing the camera.
Just like Super C, it has little like those top-down moments.
The
Yeah.
top-down stuff in Super C was a million times better than these.
Disagree.
Yes.
Hard. But I have rose-colored glasses.
Disagree
Like
all you want.
like when we played Contra and Super C, I couldn't believe how much stuff was taken from those 2 games for this game. Like bosses are straight up ripped off in Contra 1 and Super C.
Well, no, of course it's Konami doing callbacks. They loved a lot of their later games would have callbacks to their earlier games.
I didn't know that at the time. Like when I first played this, I always thought it was new here because I'd never played in Super C until we did our episode a couple month or 2 ago, whatever the hell that was. So that was something I was thinking about with this game. But like every level about this game for me was just shot of the arm of and I loved every second of this game.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Why do you hate this game? That I want to hear.
It's okay. Now, I admittedly have great deal of nostalgia for the NES, for the original Contra. This, and I said it during the Contra episode, I think anytime they add stuff to a Contra game, I think the first Contra game is perfect as a run and gunner, because run and gun games can outstay their welcome like very easily. And this one, especially the boss fights, have like the last boss fight has like 5 stages of boss fight, and it's like, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
This sucks. Like none of this is fun to do. And like I said, the mode 7 stuff, I didn't like the top-down stuff in Super C, but as I'm doing the top-down stuff in this one, I'm like, I would kill a baby for the top-down stuff in Super C right now, because this is so miserable. It just, the mode 7 makes me so nauseous, and it's a maze for no reason. And the control on it is so stupid. The shoulder buttons to change around when you have the 4, but it just, everything about this game was like, you have done all of this stuff better in the past. Why is this worse now? Like, it's all just worse. It's all just worse Contra. And that's my problem with every Contra game since the first Contra game. Contra NES, they got perfect. And they kept going, well, what if we did this? Well, the answer is, if you do this, you're making the game worse. So, yeah, the only thing that I liked better about this was because the Genesis controller was so different, the emulated version is like weird to get controls set up in a way that I like, and the controls were already set up in a way that I like here.
Because
that was
literally all game controllers that weren't Sega controllers are all like diamond shaped, like the PlayStation and Super Nintendo. So it's gonna feel a little awkward if you're not like playing on an actual Sega controller. Yeah.
So it did feel, I could never find a control scheme on hardcore that I was happy with. And the default one on Contra 3 was fine. Was like the way that I wanted it. So that
Okay.
and I did play the Probotector versions, and I don't know why, but they felt a little bit more balanced.
They're better.
Like
there's a difference in them.
Yeah, the balance in these games is so razor thin between hard fair and hard unfair, and I felt like I was getting a lot more unfair death in this one than I did even in hardcore.
I mean, maybe it's nostalgic, but like when it comes to this game, I mean, again, I was safe stating, so I was cheating. But like, I didn't have that big of an issue. But then again, this whole game is apparently engraved in my brain, I found out. So even though I played back then with Game Genie, so the pro easier, the enemies are less spongy, and there were some attacks that just were easier to dodge in general. Like that game did feel a lot easier to play, even though it's the same fucking game. They just reskinned the main characters. I don't understand, Europe. Guys, I don't get it. What were you thinking, Europe?
Well, it's because of censorship issues. Like
I know, but like
Germany.
Oh, it was Germany?
Wasn't okay with the idea. Well, yeah, it was. They weren't okay with the idea of like human on human violence in video games. So a lot of the times they would switch it over to being like robots shooting other robots or something like that. Like unless like a character was clearly like an alien, where it would be easier to tell that the enemy you're fighting is like an alien, like they would usually have to do the editing for stuff like that, where it would have to be like robots.
Okay, it was just, I mean, that makes more sense. I was like, yeah, this is like, all you did is reskin one thing. And I mean, I thought it was better because everything takes less damage. So maybe Europe wasn't as concerned about rentals as we were in America.
I think that's always been the case. I mean,
yeah, really, Japan, I think, was like one of the few parts of the world that weren't okay with video game rentals. I know it's like illegal there, so like it's illegal to rent video games. You can rent like movies, but you can't rent video games. So yeah, like
they have crazy prices like we did in the 90s too.
Oh yeah, they usually their stuff's usually pretty expensive. In fact, for stuff like home video releases, they'll do like volumes of things, and like it'll be stupid expensive, and it's usually only like 2 or 3 episodes per, like 3 or 4 episodes.
That's where that anime bullshit comes from. Okay, I thought it was American thing, being like we're gonna take those weaves of money.
Yeah, they've been doing it since the beginning.
I mean, it was kind of. I gotta say, one thing as I was replaying this, like, I like all the bosses. Like, it's just strange how much I loved playing this game. The only thing I don't like is the part where you're in the helicopter, you have that big green blip. That I do not like that part. I had a really hard time both times I did that part.
I like how that part looks. Like, it looks really cool, but actually playing it, I miss, like, yeah, okay, I'm not really the biggest fan of this. It's kind of annoying to play.
It's hard.
I just found it stressful. Yeah, it was panic-inducing.
Yeah, the boss that you fight on that helicopter is just everything in the game is a pain in the ass. Like it all takes too long. That boss, when you're climbing up the side of the building and it's got like the spikes and you're like inside of it.
Yeah.
It sucks so bad, and it takes like 9,000 hits to kill that thing. It's just forever, and it's not like they do interesting stuff as the fight progresses. It just feels like you're doing the same thing and you just have to do it perfect for so long. It's like I'm not like progressing this boss fight. I'm just surviving it. And that's not fun. It's not fun. Nothing about this game is fun.
I mean, it's also very based on what weapons you have, I think, too, where I stuck, mainly the homing weapon I used in this game. And I'm watching a speedrun of it now while we're talking, and they use the laser, and that's how they just blow through bosses like they're nothing. I
will say the laser is a lot more useful in the later Contra games than it is the earlier ones. Like,
yeah, the laser.
Oh, for sure.
Game.
Yeah, the laser in like Contra 1 and Super. Well, I mean, I think it's only in Contra 1, and then it's back
Contra
in
1, yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't think it is in Super. My apologies. Anyways, like laser in Contra 1 is like really hard to use. You have to really get used to it. Where like in 3, it's like a lot more beginner friendly.
Yeah. I just don't like it because I like a weapon that I can run more and hit everything because that's the way I play.
I love Contra Spread Shot. It's like one of my favorite like weapons in a video game.
Yeah.
Like it just feels good. Like it's just Spread Shot, just like
and
shooting everywhere. Like yeah.
Did you guys know that you can pull up a map on the top-down stages to see where you are in relative?
I knew that.
I did not.
So wait, before you move on from the weapons,
sorry.
What I was doing, no, that's fine. What I was doing is I'd have Heat Seeker as my first weapon and Spread as the second, or vice versa. And I was just holding down the shoulder buttons and jumping and spinning, spraying bullets everywhere and heat-seeking missiles. I got through so much of like the first and third stage that way.
Nice. I didn't even think about ever doing that.
Yeah, I just spammed that and that and like with infinite lives. Well, I guess you lose your weapons if you die, but
yeah,
I would rewind to try to hold on to the weapons.
That's why I just didn't die.
Yeah, I ended up rewinding so much, and I was like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is it's not a fun way to play a game. Like, if your game is. And I know that this was a lot of games back then, but like to learn a game should be fun to do. Like, and there's a lot of games that are fun to learn the thing. But when I'm playing this and I'm rewinding every like 45 seconds, and I'm like, this isn't fun. Like, it's not fun to learn this game. I feel like so many cheap deaths, like stuff popping out of the ground and shooting you like instantly. Even in Super C, when the gun turrets would come out of the ground, they would come out when you were a decent amount of space away from them. And then they would shoot their bullets and like you could learn that. But I felt like in this one, it would just pop up and then it would shoot you. And I was like half an inch away from the stupid thing and it would kill me every time. And then I would rewind. And like, even when I knew it was coming, I was still getting killed. And I'm like, I'm good at video games. Like I've been playing video games since I'm, 5 years old. And I'm playing through these other games and I'm not really having a problem. And this one feels like way more unfair than I like my Contra games to be.
It's a ton of memorization, I think, is what this game is. Like, it's just knowing what's going to happen because you played it and died enough times to it. I feel like that's what this game is. And for me, a lot of it's in my head. I didn't realize it, but it was.
Yeah, I am not that great at video games, despite having played them for a long time. But I did beat this game back in like 1995, 1996.
Oh, nice.
And I definitely did not have a Game Genie. I did not have a Game Genie. So I definitely figured out how to get through it at the very least on easy mode. I don't remember if I did it on normal mode or not. So, it can be done. I just did not have the time to put into it this time to try to be able to do that again. What's that?
I'd feel bad if you did.
No.
I don't want people that much pain and suffering into what they do for the show. I'd feel bad.
And then on top of that, there was some update to my emulator. And so for whatever reason now, when you rewind, you can't see what's happening. Like you can't see it rewind. It just goes blank. Ooh. You can hear it though. So I listened for audio cues. So anyways, rewinding became a chore. And so then I just eventually did the Game Genie cheats that are built into it for infinite lives.
Your graphic settings on the emulator. It's like maybe like something like
it's a known problem with the latest update. And people are like, you got to roll back. And I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I will just do infinite lives and use the pea shooter.
The standard gun isn't bad in this either.
No. Yeah. Well, and you don't have to tap the button over and over again. You just hold it down and shoot.
Yeah, it's a machine gun.
And I was mowing through some stuff. Like there were some bosses that I died at, and it's like I didn't feel like rewinding it or whatever. And like I was like, this is not that bad. Like the standard gun was a fine weapon. So I guess that's another good thing. And I
was about to say, be careful. You're almost complimenting this game.
Yeah. It looks like I will say that besides those Mode 7 overhead, this game looks cool. Like it looks really good.
It does. Good graphics.
Like even the bosses look good, even when they're not fun to fight, even when they're stupid looking giant turtles. That first,
hey, you don't talk bad about that turtle.
Is so
I like that turtle.
The most though.
I love that turtle.
That is such a dumb boss. Like, what are we doing? This is a Contra game. We're supposed to be fighting. We're supposed to be fighting walls and piles of skulls, not giant turtles. So stupid.
You got plenty of walls in that first stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's walls and there's not really many like skull piles like in Super C. Again, we start off so weak in this game. The first level is fine, but it feels like the first level of Super C. And then we get to that boss, and then we have to go to an overhead thing, and I'm like, ugh. It just is miserable to play. And again, I had an NES, and that was the end of my Nintendo. Like, that's the end of my Nintendo nostalgia, because I went to Genesis and then to PlayStation from there. I skipped a lot of Nintendo stuff. So like Bloodlines and Hardcore are the like 16-bit Castlevania and Contra games that I grew up with. So I have a lot more love for those games. And yeah, besides Super Metroid, I have, and even Super Mario World. But other than that, like the Super Nintendo, I don't have any nostalgia love for it. But yeah, the turtle boss is dumb.
Yeah, I get it.
You leave my turtle alone.
It's dumb. It's a dumb boss. It's a bad boss.
You're dumb.
Thank you, Kyle.
That's also true.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, he's cutting down that turtle. That I was thought that turtle boss was a badass. I did. I really. I don't think it makes complete sense.
Weird. It makes 0 sense.
I agree.
And it's a turtle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be killing a turtle.
It's an alien turtle.
Stupid.
It's trying to kill us.
What's the giant turtle in the Godzilla universe?
Gamera?
Yeah. Was it not Gamera?
Yeah, might have been a reference to Gamera.
If it is Gamera, you need to sing the Gamera song from Mystery Science Theater 3000.
And also, I think Gamera can
I don't recall it.
Fly?
Probably.
And he's friends to all children.
Yeah. Gamera's a good guy. So if you're killing Gamera, then you're
killing a good guy.
Yeah.
I also got to say the music in this game, this is a time where I had the music on the entire time. I love this music for Contra 3, but again, it's because it just took me back to being a kid.
I think the soundtrack to this game is all right. I love, I like that it's like Konami doing so much orchestra stuff with like the Super Nintendo sound hardware, but like I think there are better like takes on that whole like doing an entire like Super Nintendo orchestra soundtrack, like the soundtrack for Batman Returns on Super Nintendo, which is also published and developed by Konami. In fact, sorry, a little tangent.
That's fine.
The game director of Batman Returns for Super Nintendo is the one and only Etsunobu Ebisu, who is one of the big names behind the Ganbare Goemon. Those Konami guys, they really did a lot of shit back in the day. They did a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff.
So I really have a soft spot for level 3 in this game when you're in the, I guess it's called this old cyber steel mill stage. I mean, you are right. There's some bad bosses on there, Colby, but I love that song.
It's a good song.
I love that stage, everything. And that final fight.
I especially, just like one quick song that I do like from Contra 3, the Bug Nest stage. I love the music from that. That's really good.
I was just going to say, skeleton breaks through the back of the wall, like, even at 37-year-olds, I'm like, this is bad.
That's rad. Yeah. So, did anybody else get killed by the door closing on them, though, like right before that?
I've had it happen before, but I often forget that can be a thing. Like, oh yeah, you can get killed by that.
Yeah, I found that out.
I'm always on the ceiling.
I also found out that there's checkpoints, I think, because this was before I turned on infinite lives. I had to continue. I was like, I don't want to start this over. And I was like, I'm not starting it over. And I think it started like in the mid-level. So that was an improvement.
I don't care. One of my small complaints is I don't like that stage 5 now that I played Contra and Super C. It's pretty much just a rehash of the Contra level and they added stuff from Super C too. That's my complaint that I had, is that I know now 5? It wasn't fresh. I think it's 5.
The other overhead?
Oh, no, it's 6 then. Sorry. The alien.
Okay. Oh,
the alien place.
Oh, I don't mind that. I like
Stage Sulkin's main base, I guess.
Yeah, I love all the alien shit, so I didn't care if it was a rehash.
I cared just because I thought that's all. It's a stupid, but it doesn't matter. And I guess you beat this on hard mode. There is a extra boss fight, which I've never seen before. Just on hard mode. I'm watching the speedrun as we're talking. Oh, but I also want to say that
I watched it.
When you play this game on normal or hard, it does have different things that happen. Like I remember as a kid, when I found out those dogs chase after you that are in the background on easy that don't do anything, shocked me as a kid. Shocked.
Yeah, those dogs are rough. Do they not do that on easy?
They don't do anything in easy.
You? Jesus Christ.
It's a thing they added in normal and hard.
I should have played this on easy because I had, like I said, just a miserable time playing this game.
Do what I do. Play every game on easy.
It was, it was hard enough on easy.
Yeah, it is.
I thought, I'm not positive, but I thought that on normal mode, you still fought like that very last stage as you're escaping on the helicopter.
Maybe you do. I mean, you fight and there's a final stage where the helicopter going up. Yeah, but
I think the ending's different.
I've never. Maybe I never beat on normal or even because I was a chicken shit as a
I didn't
kid
either. I just was.
Games.
Yeah, I was just curious as to what the difference was, and I looked into it and watched a couple of speed runs, and I could swear that you still fought that very last stage that you don't get to do in easy mode, but that in hard mode, it's like the true ending or whatever.
Where does it end on easy?
You beat the brain. The helicopter comes while you're in the spinal column, then you go up, and that's the end of the game. Where at least on hard. You get chased after by like a spider-looking brain thingy.
Yeah, that's a normal.
Okay, yeah, just don't do that little fight.
Yeah, in my notes, as I was taking notes as I was going along, and after I beat the boss and you get in the helicopter, you're still going up. I'm like, oh fuck, am I gonna have to fight this thing while I'm on the helicopter? It's like, nope, not in easy mode.
Oh, yeah, no, and that part's not very hard, but it's just one of those things that's like, I've already been fighting this boss for like 8 minutes. I don't need another part of this boss fight. It's just like, okay, Contra and Super C and Operation C, it's like level, boss fight. You do the boss fight in, a certain amount of hits where it's like, all right, here's your... we get that you understand how to beat this boss and you've shown that you're skilled enough to beat the boss. But and don't get me wrong, this is in both of these 16-bit versions.
It's just about the other ones too.
The bosses are too many stages. It's like they go on for so long, and it's like it feels exhausting. Like as much as a video game can feel exhausting, like when I'm done with the boss fights, I'm not like, yeah, cool. I'm like, ugh, now I'm gonna have to play more of this game.
I didn't have that problem with 3.
Probably because we were on easy.
Yeah,
I think that's the difference.
It was way worse on 3 than it was in hardcore.
Okay.
So I felt like it was worse with hardcore. I felt like the bosses were all bullet sponges, but I had a favorite weapon that I stuck to kind of, and I think it was on the weak side. So
yeah, that and it starts like even the turtle boss is too many hits that you have to, hit that thing with, because it's not hard. It just is too much. It just takes too long. And then the one where you're grappling up the side of the building, and I'm never going to get over how terrible that boss fight was.
Oh, the fake alien thing?
The thing that has like the 2 arms.
Or the robot.
And you're in between.
Yeah, the robot. He's a little annoying.
The arms, and then like the head part comes shooting towards you, and it has the spikes.
Yeah, there's a trick to beating him.
Well, the trick to beating him is just to watch it on YouTube. It's not worth doing it.
I found that it wasn't so obvious when you're hitting the bosses sometimes too.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Like, am I not hitting it in the right spot? Is that why it's taking so long?
The alien boss near the end of the game, the gray thing like teleports while you're and you're stuck on a wall. That was the boss for me that was making me going like, what the fuck am I supposed to? That's the worst one for me in the game.
That's probably hard when you don't have any cheats turned on.
Yes. Well, I also didn't have the weapons because I let myself die at one point.
Helps.
I'm like, So yeah, he's hard.
Heat Seeker always helps.
Yeah.
All right. Should we talk about hardcore and then do check for everything?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's what we did for the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about hardcore then. Are there anything else you guys want to say about 3?
I think this game is honestly, for all as positive as I probably sounded a little earlier, I think this game is like, it's fine. Like it's good, but like, I don't know. I hate to sound a little weird or whatever, but like, I still just kind of prefer original NES Contra to like all the other Contras, even though like there are some Contra games that come very close to topping it. Like, I don't know, there's just something about original NES Contra that's so damn good.
I mean, that's what Michael Colby's been saying.
Yeah.
And I think I agree.
Yeah, and
Although you guys have been like really dunking on it though, where I'm just like, like,
Two of
I
us
like this
have been really dunking on it.
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, Mike, but the sound
it's fine.
the sound on the Super Nintendo in general, and I said it in the last Contra episode, but it just, and I know that we got the explanation on why it sounds like that, but it just sounds so muffled. It's so gross. The music is so gross on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, I disagree. But then again, I grew up in Nintendo and I love it. So
process those songs because they sound like they're coming from underwater on the Super Nintendo, and it just bums me out so bad.
I mean, we could talk about an underwater game on this show I've been meaning to play forever, not on the Super Nintendo. So, all right, we'll talk about Contra Hard Corps.
Does the music sound like it's coming from
I have no idea. I'm talking about Echo. I never played it.
I was going to guess.
I'm looking for a reason to.
Echo is awesome.
Okay, I guess I have a reason. I have someone
Genesis
that would join me.
So I was a Genesis kid, so like Echo is one of those that everybody had.
It's one of those games I think about and go, I have never finished it. I've never played it for more than maybe 20 minutes.
It's insane. I do
know that.
Most people have played Echo for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah.
One of those things that I thought. Okay, Contra Hard Corps. So this game I didn't even did until I think I found it through emulation. I think it was when I was getting early into Genesis and Super Nintendo emulation, let's say late 90s, early 2000s. No, probably early 2000s, for sure, early 2000s. And then I found this game by accident, and I'm like, what? There's a Contra game for Genesis? And I think I played it once, went, God, this is hard, and then I never touched it again until this episode. What about you, Zach? What's your history with Hard Corps?
This was the first time I had ever played it. I've heard of it before. I don't know why I didn't play it before. I guess I just didn't have occasion to. It looked too different. Actually, I might have picked it up very briefly when I first bought the Contra collection, but I definitely did not play all the way through it. So, this was my first experience with it. I very quickly went to emulation so that I could rewind and save state and do invincibility cheats because it was too hardcore for me.
Fair. And Kyle.
Well, so I might have talked about this in certain previous episodes of the podcast. Growing up as a kid, I wasn't so much a predominant, company kid. I just loved playing any type of video games, but I didn't ever get much of a chance to own a Sega Genesis. I got to play it over at, friends' houses, and, I got to rent it a few times. But I, unfortunately, didn't technically grow up with this game. I didn't get into it until I started getting a bit more into emulation. And, when I started playing it, I ended up really liking it, but I thought it was just way too fucking hard. So I started looking into it the older I got and found out that, the Japanese version's actually kind of different. The Japanese version, you get 3 hits. And the American version, it's 1-hit death. And so, I started playing the Japanese version. And then, years and years later, it turns out they started making ROM hacks and translations for this game where there's actually a ROM hack where and I think this is such an awesome idea for a ROM hack. It's the American game Contra Hard Corps, but it has the Japanese system of 3 hits. So you get the Japanese side of the game with the 3 hit system, and you also get the American side of the English translation and everything. And that's actually the version I've been playing because I'm sorry, I know there are people who can totally do American hardcore and play that version and be fine, but that version's just too fucking hard for me. I'm sorry. So,
no, it's hard. You're not wrong.
Yeah, so I've actually been playing that ROM hack version of the game, and it doesn't change anything else. It's the same game, and I gotta be honest. So as someone who didn't get to technically own a Genesis in the earlier half of my childhood, I fucking loved hardcore. This game is a lot of fun. It at times maybe a bit more memorization heavy, but this game feels like if Treasure, and I know Treasure, the developer, is made of ex-Konami people, but Hardcore just feels like, what if Treasure made a Contra game, and it's like in the best way possible. Like, the boss fights are very memorable and fun. The little side segments in between boss fights, like the levels, they're easy to understand, and the gameplay is like very fast without being too chaotic. Like, I really prefer this over Contra 3, and like I like Contra 3, but like I love Contra Hard Corps.
Okay. And Colby.
Yeah, I had this game growing up, but it wasn't one that I played obsessively like original Contra. I really disagree on this being harder than 3. I don't think this is anywhere near as hard as 3. What character were you guys using? Because if you use the robot guy, you are underneath a lot of attacks.
Yeah, if you play as the robot, if you play as Brownie, the robot, he's like the game's hidden easy mode. Like, you'll never get hit by stuff as Brownie.
Yeah, that one boss. And don't get me wrong, this game does the way that 3 does Super Nintendo stuff. This game does a lot of Sega Genesis bullshit. Mm-hmm. Like that boss that's like a column and he has like the circle arms.
Yeah.
And he shoots the spiky fist at you. Like, it does a lot of that kind of shit, and it all sucks. The level where you're like on the water jet thing sucks. It all is terrible, but it doesn't feel as egregiously hard as 3. And if you're the robot, like I said, there's a lot of boss attacks that you can just skate underneath. Like, a lot of the attacks that you have to slide under if you're playing as anybody else, just go over top of your head.
I picked the robot to start with, but my dumbass didn't know that the game had 2 different shot modes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he can't shoot and run. Well, I'm not going to play as a robot. So then I went to the werewolf and I played the entire game as I figured it out, but then I figured it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I had my first note was like, you can't move and shoot at the same time. It's literally a run and gun. And then I figured it out.
Yeah.
But I did
use it. I switch shots in this game from time to time.
Well, yeah, you have to use it for certain parts. Or you don't have to use it, but it sure does make it easier.
And this game needed everything it could get.
I don't know if it was my emulator, but I also found that if I tried to switch weapons while I was still shooting, it would toggle the hold on and off instead.
So that's normal. You were holding the buttons in a certain combination, because if you're playing with the 3-button Genesis controller, you one button is shoot, one button is jump, and one button is switch, where you switch your different types of shot. But if you're holding, I believe, jump and switch in a certain position or a certain way, that also switches to shot number 2. So, I
kept accidentally doing that.
If you're playing with the 6-button controller, you don't have that issue.
I didn't have that issue, but I did have a lot of issues.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in hardcore to sort of alleviate some of the pain that the game causes. And again, I honestly couldn't tell you if original Contra is really hard, just because of the amount of times that I've played it. Like, I can't even begin to think about when I first started playing Contra, how hard of a time I had playing it. So I don't know if these games are any harder than the original Contra.
I think this one has to be a lot harder than the original, this game to me was super difficult. I also think I played it wrong. I think the wolf was harder because the wolf has a couple weapons, which who the fuck wants to use a melee weapon in a Contra game?
Yeah.
So I never used it. And I was watching, I was listening to some reviews of the game afterwards, and they're like, yeah, the wolf got some of the most powerful weapons in the game. And I'm like, oh, the weapons I never used. Oh. Because I only used this flame weapon, and I only used his A, which was just the machine gun. And I also didn't know you could slide in this game until I had to figure out, because one of the bosses you have to slide underneath or you will die every time.
To slide, yes.
And that's how I learned there was a slide.
I still didn't figure it out.
That's that.
Speedrun.
I still didn't figure it out because I had invincibility turned on. And I was like, man, I wonder how you're supposed to get through there.
Yeah, that's the boss with the spiky hands. you have to slide under those attacks.
Yeah.
So
I played as the woman and
Nina.
almost exclusively used the like heat-seeking laser because that was rad.
Oh,
as
that
hell.
thing is fucking amazing. That
Yeah.
heat-seeking laser.
Yeah.
That thing is
That
so
really-
helpful. I love
Huh.
it.
I wish I would have picked
Yep.
her.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like literally every other character you would have had more fun with this game.
And I played this game twice because I played through Hardcore and then I played through Proboctor. I cannot say that word, by the way.
Probotector.
And I played Wolfman both times. So sometimes I make dumb decisions. I don't know why. But I did find the Europe version so much easier. Like the bosses took much less damage, and it just felt better. The USA version is awful.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah, a lot of Sega of America games that got ported over here, like, got really shitty versions. Like, this Streets of Rage 3 got a really bad version, considering how good the original Bare Knuckle 3 is. Yeah, like, we got some crappy versions of certain games.
And it was because of the rental market. It was
Yeah.
because companies didn't want their games rented out. So they made them too hard to beat when you rented them.
Yeah, I know that's why, but I still hate it.
Oh no, it's terrible. It's the
Yeah,
I mean it's the
it
same
sucks.
reason it's the same reason that those arcade games are impossible.
Yeah,
It's because they're just trying to get more money out of you. And it really sucks because those Probotector games, both of them are just so much better. Even the Hardcore, like I like Hardcore, but the Probotector for Hardcore is so much better. It's just like it feels more fair. And not just like the amount of shots that the bosses take or that like even normal enemies take. It's just I felt like I wasn't getting cheap shot killed in those games like I was in both of these Contra games,
Yeah.
and in 3 especially. But I still had to look at that nauseating overhead levels on the, on the Probotector. I just like I said, the I don't know how many companies did it, but Konami sure love being able to use that mode 7 because Super Castlevania 4,
Yep.
that level where you're going up like the column and
Yep.
everything is like moving around you. I think I was in probably my 20s, like late 20s, early 30s before I could play that game long enough to get through that part. And I sort of felt that way about these overhead levels. I was like, this just is making me sick.
No, that's fair. I mean, Hardcore had some really cool things to it. Like, it's tons of bosses, which I appreciated. Like, I did like things about it. It just, the difficulty was so much for me.
Yeah, I think Hardcore got closer to what makes Contra cool, which is like sort of snappy levels and insane bosses. And I don't know. I think the fact that there was a story about the government, like, being in league with the aliens and like there's like intrigue in a Contra game.
oh yeah.
And it's like, oh no, and then at the end it's like, oh, you got me, but the missile is going off anyway, and then you have to climb your way up the missile, and that sucks. And then you have to fight like the alien brain thing at the top, and like that wasn't the greatest fight, but like it's a lot closer than I think 3 got to like doing a bunch of cool stuff. And I think that was the Genesis's whole thing was
Yeah.
like doing cool stuff.
They definitely tried a lot of cool stuff in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And they succeed, I think, mostly. I mean, hell, this game has branching levels. And so
Yeah.
I beat this game twice, and there's still levels I missed. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how?
Yeah.
'Cause I picked every other option, and if you, depending on what option you pick and what order, there's some different levels you can still do.
Yep.
That is
Yeah.
damn cool. And also, I finally now know that one of the characters you get in Vampire Survivors in the Contra DLC was the final boss in this game, depending on what ending you go with. The guy with the claw. Did not know that. So learned something new.
Yeah. They didn't, Vampire Survivors didn't screw around when it came to Konami properties.
Yeah, no kidding.
No. They did not.
No, but yeah, I just, and I don't know for sure that this is not my judgment being clouded the way that Mike knows that his judgment is being clouded. I just don't think that this game, was nearly as hard as 3. And I don't know if that's because, like I said, I didn't play it a ton, but I did play this when I was a kid. I've played hardcore infinitely amount more than I played 3. So it might just be the fact that I played it a lot, but I think this game is a lot easier than 3 was.
I mean, given that both Mike and I played 3 more and found this harder. I think you found this harder. Is that right?
Oh, I found this thing 10 times harder. I actually wanted to quit this game multiple times while playing it.
I think it's just like opposite experience. So opposite experience, opposite opinion.
I also had a lot of issues with the buttons, like what Kyle had brought up earlier. The fact that I'm playing this on not a Genesis controller, I'm playing on a Steam Deck at the time.
Yeah, no, I
had issues.
You know, I said about the buttons too. I could never. I tried so many different configurations, and I could never find a comfortable button configuration on the collection. I ended up using. I have RetroArch. I forget what my Genesis thing is, but I have a Raspberry Pi with everything on it. So whatever that one is that, you know, they use, I found a decent one with my Xbox controller, but it never felt like what it should have felt like if I was playing on a Genesis controller, which is a big problem with all Genesis emulation.
Well, that's why you buy a USB Genesis controller like I have. I actually do. I went through a phase. I bought controllers of every system, including N64 USB, and I have them whenever I play if I play an N64 game, that one comes out.
Does the Saturn have a USB, or is that proprietary?
I have never.
Saturn. There's USB Saturn controllers. I know they. I forgot the fucking company that's currently doing it. I think 8-Bit Do has them.
Okay.
I've never had anything but good 8-Bit. Is it Do? I always said 8-Bit Do.
I don't know if it's Do or Do. I don't know.
I don't know either. But,
yeah, same.
Yeah, I've never had any problems.
I always said
their stuff.
Yeah, I always said 8-Bit Do, kind of like Nintendo.
Yeah, that's right.
But it probably is that.
I think I heard. I think I heard recently that the company themselves said it's 8-Bit Do, and I was just like, well, why? It doesn't make sense.
Why?
Maybe it's like Mr. Do, the arcade game.
Maybe.
I mean, I do find it cool how much is in this game. The fact that it has 4 playable characters, different weapons for all of them. Now that I know the little robot can dodge things just by being small, there is a lot to this game, and I was impressed how much they put in this game. Like, multiple stages. I mean, even though I played this game twice, I still missed a good amount of bosses by watching videos. I'm like, I didn't see this. Beat the game twice. Where is this? I'm not going to play through the game again to find out, but that's cool. Like, it's not often that happens to me. So I got to give this game a lot of props.
I went through it once and then figured I did not get the best ending, and I was correct. And then I looked into the alternate endings, and it is interesting depending. I didn't even know I was making decisions through this game. There's, I think, 2 points where you have to make a choice. I was just button mashing through all the dialogue. I was like, who put story in my Contra game? I don't want this. I don't want to read. So I totally missed that.
The story is like interesting because it's like the guy who's telling you, you know, what you're supposed to be doing. He ends up, you know, betraying you. And then like the guy who is like high up in the government ends up, you know, trying to work with the aliens to like force some sort of like evolution or something. I couldn't quite tell what was going on, but I was like, huh. It's like
I picked up on quite a bit of that. But not the evolution thing, but that makes sense with how he's like merging creatures at the end. I like that. That was cool.
I don't know if it's exactly evolution, but like he is trying to mix, you know, the alien DNA, and that's what he does. Like he sets it so that when you kill him, the missile launches, and then it's going to explode, and it spreads the alien cell. I think it's called the alien cell. I think that's what they call it. But that it like when it explodes, it's going to spread that around the Earth. Like,
well, one ending where he shot the missile at before I did the final fight. He's like, I'll save the planet. I'm like, he just shot the planet. Like, are we gonna be okay?
Is that when you choose to like
Surrender?
go?
Yeah, you choose to surrender.
I can never do that in a video game. I'm always like, I'm going to try this next time. And then I'll get to that section and I'm like, fuck, no, I can't do this.
I was doing all the different options to see what the game had to offer.
Yeah, I usually, at this point, I'm like, I'm just going to look it up on YouTube, but I never did for this one.
I mean, there's a thing about Genesis that I don't love when it comes to some of like the graphics. Like, they're good graphics, but there's something... Again, I'm a Super Nintendo boy, unfortunately, and it's engraved in me, I can tell, where I'm like, these aren't as pretty as Super Nintendo. But still, very good graphics in the game. Like, it was me being stupid.
Yeah, I think my problem with the Super Nintendo stuff is it's all like muffled. Like the colors aren't as bright as they are.
I think Genesis is
Genesis,
muffled.
and the music.
Genesis colors are usually pretty muted, unless they're like Dynamite Heady or anything like that, or Socket.
Yeah, and that works for a lot of the games that are on the Super Nintendo. But like if you go back to back, if you play the Genesis version of, say, Earthworm Jim, and then you play the Super Nintendo version,
Earthworm Jim blows.
Earthworm Jim is
I like it.
I hate it.
I'm with Michael Colby on this one.
That game has always fucking sucked, and I never understood the hype for it.
I've been hearing a lot of people saying that it sucks, but like I just think it's so, because back when that game came out, they didn't really make weird games like that. There are so few.
Yeah, they did.
There are so few games.
Japan did.
Yeah, but I'm not from Japan. I'm from here. I never got those weird games. I think the only weird game I ever found on like Nintendo was, what is that game called? Zombie Nation, where it's a side-scrolling shooter where you play the head of a dead samurai.
Yes.
Who spits.
I don't know this game.
I know that game.
Yes.
It's insane. But like, that's really the only thing I had. So like, when I found out that there was a game about an earthworm that had a super suit fall onto him and he turned into this like crazy guy and he had to fight like all these weird things, I'm like, this is what I'm looking for. Earthworm Jim molded my brain to the way it is now.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I've always hated that game. Like
it's fine. Like I guess I can understand it, but there's something about the way that game went that I was like, okay, it's okay to have these insane thoughts in your head. And like, because that was when I was drawing a lot and like when I was starting to paint, and it's like, no, this is the way you're supposed to paint. And then I played Earthworm Jim and I'm like, you can do anything you want. It's why
of course.
It's why I make a podcast the way that I do now. Like,
no, of course.
we have this crazy podcast. I paint all these crazy things. I do all of these weird drawings, and it's like, that is specifically because of Earthworm Jim. So it's another one of those things that I can't be.
Maybe I need to replay it and talk about it with you sometime now. I feel like I should.
Like, as a game, it's probably not the best side-scrolling platformer on any of these platforms, but it's just so strange. And it made me realize that it's okay to be weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that was at a very, like, when did Earthworm Jim come out? I was probably like 14 or 15 years old.
90s. I don't know when though.
Yeah, so that was a transformational game for me. So I can't be objective about Earthworm Jim either.
I would say it was not that impactful on me, but I did like it.
So hardcore.
I'll back you up on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that like you get different weapons, and if you die, you don't lose all your weapons. Like you lose that whatever you have A or B or C equipped, you lose that one only. I think that's a nice touch too. I mean,
it was like that in Contra 3 as well, but you only get 2 weapons.
Oh yeah, you only get 2. Good point. I didn't die in 3 because I could prevent it. Here, I couldn't even with safety. There were a few times I couldn't prevent it. This game is fucking hard.
Yep.
Core.
It's hardcore.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. And I felt it. I'm like, oh, they're not joking when they say, hardcore.
Yeah, 1994. So I was 15 when Earthworm Jim came out. So yes, that was like, not to bring it back to Earthworm Jim. I just wanted to say that.
I will do an episode with you.
So that it stopped you from getting any, like, because I know that Earthworm Jim fans are like crazy and they're like, oh, of course it was 1994, you fucking idiot. Like,
no, I'm like, the creator of this game is a fucking bigoted piece of shit.
No, the guy who made it, it's like, yeah, no, I totally understand that too, but that was so far after.
Yeah.
That was so far after, like, the game was imprinted onto my brain.
No, of course, I get you.
It's like the guy who made Ren and Stimpy is the same.
Oh yeah, John.
Like, he fucking
Chris
sucks.
Forces.
Yeah,
that guy's
he's a bad person.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And what's his name? The guy who did the music in Earthworm Jim.
Tommy Tallarico.
Tommy Tallarico.
He
God, that guy always
too.
come up. He's also an idiot. But
Yeah.
so hardcore.
So hardcore.
Yes.
Hardcore.
I was surprised with just how different this game is.
Yeah, that was the cool thing back in the day of the Genesis versus the Super Nintendo, was that we got completely different experiences in games.
Yeah,
like
I do miss
especially Konami did it the most, but there were other companies that did this where it was like they put out one full game on the Super Nintendo and one full game on the Genesis, and if you didn't have both, you just didn't play both, or else you had a friend who had the other one. But yeah, it's just so cool that, because there's sort of elements, like I felt elements of both of the games at certain points, like, oh, they, maybe they were switching assets or something, or like sharing assets. But for the most part, these are two completely different games.
I would say these are two completely different games. Like, I would say there's nothing that really brings them together other than the brand.
I mean, besides the fact that Hardcore takes place, like, Hardcore is technically a sequel to Contra 3.
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't pay any attention to what they're saying.
Yeah, it specifically says that it takes place like 6 years after the Alien War. So like the stuff that happened in Contra 3 happened previously in Hardcore.
Okay, I pay no attention to what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't expect anybody to pay attention to the.
I mean, I read the words that came on the screen, and I went, "Oh, that's nice. Let me shoot things again."
Yeah.
So.
Specifically you, but I can't imagine that anybody would be paying attention to the storyline besides an absolute psycho like me.
I just can't get over this game has 3 different final bosses, because I'm watching a video and they fought a different final boss in the they put so much fucking game in this game, though. Like, my God, did they really put a lot in here?
Yeah, they
did not throw out any ideas.
No.
This was at the time when they let big studios do stuff like this. And I don't necessarily think that it's, I'm not like, oh, back in these days it was better. But like you had like funding for these games that you could do all this stuff in. And because it was less technologically, if you tried to make like 2 completely different, say, Grand Theft Auto games, neither of them would ever get done. This was at a time when you could get 2 completely different games done. And
they kind of did in the PS2, but the Grand Theft Auto
in the PS2, there was a lot of weird shit in the PS2 as well. That was, PS1 and PS2 is where I got introduced to the weird Japanese stuff, but not before that. Like, before that was not a time when I knew about any of the weird shit that was coming out in Japan. It wasn't until I started going to video game conventions and bringing my PlayStation 1 in to get a chip put in it that I had to put an American disc in and put a toothpick so that it read the thing, and then I could switch out the discs so I could play the Japanese games. Like, that was when modding was insane. Cool time to be alive, though.
Any other things you guys want to say about Hardcore that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, I love this game. I think it kicks ass. Like I said before, I don't think I said it before, but yeah, I love this game. I love this game, and I think it's better than 3. And that's saying as someone who grew up with a lot of Nintendo stuff.
All right. No, I mean, if I didn't have rose-colored glasses, I might be with you on that one, because this game is a very cool game. Like, there is so much to hardcore, so much more than I expected when I was playing it for this podcast. Like, did not expect this game to have as much as it does in it. So I get it. I'm with you on that one. I mean, I love Contra 3, and I can't change that fact, but this game does have a lot in it, and I was impressed.
I think I would have liked it better if I had played it in 1996 or whenever it came out.
1994.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure, but I had a lot more time and patience to play games like this back then. So
Yeah,
Okay, but
that's
I feel like this
how
wouldn't
I
even be
got-
fun then.
Yeah, that's how I got good at, all of those games. Like, I can beat, Castlevania 3. People talk about how hard Castlevania 3 is, how hard Contra is.
Yeah,
But what they don't
this is worse.
realize is that, back then you had 4 or 5 video games. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is everybody's, experience, but I had like 5
The
or 6
average
video
person.
games, and I got really good at I had Metroid, I had Castlevania 3, I had Contra, and some other dumb shit that, my grandmother bought me, and I got good at those games. Even if they weren't that good, I got good at them.
Yeah, because you didn't have a
Um,
choice. All you had. Like, my son
yeah.
has like 30 games probably for Switch, because I keep buying him Switch games because I'm a
Yeah.
gamer. So I'm like,
And-
hey, look, this is $20. Here, I'm buying this for you.
Yeah, and now, if I were to have the choices that I have now, I would never get good at a video game because I would be trying to play everything.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Beat 2 games a week. It gets to you after a bit.
Yeah.
I get it.
I can imagine. And one of the things that I like about playing video games is, I'm not good at all video games. I'm terrible at fighting games. I'm terrible at first-person shooter games. I'm good at the kind of games that I like because I
Dark Souls.
play those games enough to get good at them. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, I can play a Souls game. I can play a Contra game. I can play, a third-person action game because I'm going to play that game enough to get good at it. And if you enjoy these types of games enough and you have the time to get good at it, I'm sure if I played if I played Contra 3 enough, that I would get good at it because, like,
You can memorize it, yeah.
yeah, this is the type of game that I get good at. So I it's not that these games are impossible. It's just how much work you're willing to put into them.
All right. I think we should go to Shelf Stacker Box.
Yeah.
All right.
sounds good.
I'm gonna go first, and we'll do each of them in one round. So I'm gonna put Contra 3 on the shelf because I still love Contra 3, but I'm aware it's rose-colored tinted glasses that brought me back to being 10 years old, playing with my father, sitting there, and it just brings back happy memories. And I can't change that, nor do I want to. So Contra 3 is on the shelf. Hardcore is in the stack because I appreciate it for what it is, but fuck was that game hard for me. I played it twice because I did the Probactor, and God, that was not that first experience was not fun. So yeah, but going to the stack because I appreciate it for what it is. And Colby.
I understand playing stuff with your dad. My dad loves like the top-down plane shooters.
Oh,
so
1942.
Oh, like 1942.
like 1940. Yeah, like all of
No,
those.
what it
So,
calls come to mind.
like those are the types of games that I'm like, no matter how impossibly hard they are, I'm still like, yeah, I love those types of games. So I totally get that as far as, how you remember a game goes, but I have no such thing with Contra 3. That's going in the bin and then getting covered with cat litter and then being buried in the backyard so I never have to think about it again. Hardcore is gonna go on the stack as well. Like, I really enjoyed playing it. I enjoyed playing it when I was a kid. I think it looks really cool, but it's not Contra. If you're
I
going to
agree.
ask me to play a Contra game, I'm going to play Contra 100% of the time. So since I have the choice to play regular ass Contra, I'm going to do that. So there's no reason for Hardcore to be on the shelf, taking up space.
And Zach.
I think I would put Contra 3 in the stack. I don't love it the way Mike does. I certainly don't hate it. I kind of considered putting it in the box, because that might be the last time I ever play it. But I could see maybe doing it again sometime. So I'm going to say stack. I also feel like box is like, no, I didn't like it. And that's not true.
Pretty much, yeah. But it doesn't matter.
And for
There's
Contra
minuses anyway.
Hardcore, I'm going to also say stack because knowing that there's the branching paths and so on, I could see myself going back and playing it again someday.
All right. And Kyle.
Well, I'm going to say for Contra 3, I'm going to say stack. I like the game. It's fine. But, like, I don't know. I'm not in love with it as much as I grew up with it when I did. And the amount of times I've played, I don't know. Like, Contra 3 is fine. But, like, I've never really fallen in love with it. And for Contra Hard Corps, I'm going to say shelf. Contra Hard Corps rules, especially the Japanese version or the ROM hack. That's the Japanese hit boxes, or like the amount of hits you get from the Japanese version, but with the English version overlay. I really love that version, especially. It's such a good mix of both versions without any weird crap or whatever. It's, yeah, I'm going to say hardcore easily on the shelf.
And as we're talking, I've been watching just a breakdown of the game, like a walkthrough. There's a fucking arena in this where you fight a big-headed guy.
Yep.
And then you fight a monster with a stroller.
Yep.
What the fuck is this game?
Yeah.
It rules.
My
It's
God.
weird is what it is. That's where all the weird stuff was in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, I guess we should go to plugs. Zach, where can people find you at?
I have a podcast called Absolutely the Best Podcast, A Work in Progress. We are working through the MCU movies, discussing them and ranking them. Tomorrow, I think, Black Panther Wakanda Forever drops, so that'll definitely be out by the time this
comes out.
podcast episode comes out.
Probably May.
That's the end of phase 4, I think. And then phase 5 kicks off with Quantumania, and that movie sucks.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording that tomorrow, but we in between we're doing like a MCU adjacent movie, and we're covering Dread, which is a fucking great movie. So that'll be coming out near the end of April.
All right.
But absolutely the best podcast, A Work in Progress.
And Colby.
You can find me along with some of your games my mom found favorites, such as Mike Albertin, Phoebe Stanton, and Kyle Gorman on Jack
RPG
Billings
show.
Presents. It is a
Sorry, could you say the title again? Mike kind of said something as you said that. Sorry.
Jack Billings Present.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
It has 3 individual seasons with sort of the same characters, but set in different dimensions. So you can listen to King of the Big House right now. That's the season that we're on. And then you can go back and listen to Haunted Apartment Complex. And then if you like that, you can go back and see where it all started with me and my neighbor Michael. And you can see how the characters change, and it's sometimes really weird, but the podcast is really weird. So if you're looking for something just different, check that one out. Jack Billings Presents. Or you can listen to This Bizarre Adventure, where me and B. Highland talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
All right. And Kyle.
Well, you can find me on Blue Sky at chibiufo.bsky or .bsky.social, and you can find my podcast, the Unidentified Flying Obsession Podcast, or the UFO Podcast, anywhere where you get your podcasts.
All right. And if you want to hear our other Contra episode, if you didn't hear it, you'll see that link in the show notes. You will also see a link to all these gentlemen's work, so check them out. If you want to support the show, we do have Patreon, a little dollar. You vote in our Patreon poll. We have 1 to 2 polls a month. Currently, probably 1 again because depends. We'll see. So definitely go do that and check that out. If you want to be on the show, if you want to chat with us, you want to just join the Discord, it's free. We're always happy to have new people join us and be on there. And then want to shout out my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Free. Follow her on Instagram and TikTok. Definitely go check her out. And check out A Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube, audio only, TikTok. I post things once in a while. And rate and review where you get your podcast. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.